Welcome to Nintendo Ninja News. I'm your host, Chris Tysis, and we're here to talk about trying to explain why there is a lack of stock from Nintendo in terms of the NES Mini, Amiibo cards, Pokemon Go Plus, and things like that. And trying to understand sort of probably the best theory there is, and I've talked to a few people about it. Not putting my own theory in the head, I just came to them and said, look, why do you think there are stock issues, production issues with Nintendo and that? And the theory that we came up with, and I think this is probably the best one, is Nintendo wishes not to take any risks at the moment with overproduction, especially when they got burnt by the Wii U. And that was the main reason why. You have to remember that when the Wii U was launched, that there were, they produced over 10 million, 10, 13, 15 million. And as you know, after 4 years, only about just a little under 14 million has been sold. So what happened was they had all the stock that they tried to sell, and it didn't sell at all over that time. And that was very bad for Nintendo. The console didn't sell, and the console ended up being a flop. Now, that was where they got burnt, and that was a really bad thing for them to happen. And I can't understate that. I think people need to understand that that was not good for them at all. It's the worst selling console ever. Disregard the Virtual Boy for a moment. Now, with that mindset and losing money hand over fist because of it, and the 3DS really keeping them afloat for the past few years, and a bit of a wave of Amiibo figurines at first helped them. So they've got this mindset thinking, we can't overproduce stuff anymore, because look what happened with the Wii U. Now, they did make this mistake again, and that was with the Amiibo figurines, because there was low stocks of Amiibos. People were crying out, and legitimately so. The stocks were really low. And so they thought, okay, let's ramp up production. Let's get these Amiibos coming out. They're selling by the millions. It's doing really well. However, and in Australia, there was a lack of Amiibos. So they actually started importing ones from Japan. As you notice, I got a couple Japanese ones too. So that was how low stocks were in Australia. Now, what happened was that they ended up overproducing too many Amiibos, and now you've got Animal Crossing Amiibo figurines sitting around for $5 or $10 because they just can't be sold anymore. People weren't as keen on the Amiibo Crossing figurines as much as they were on the cards. I think the cards were more popular, definitely, because I think it's better suited for the game. And pretty much the only reason why those cards were created well, the reason why Happy Home Designer was only created was so they could use it as an excuse to produce the cards. So, and I always thought that Happy Home Designer should have been added as a download content feature for New Leaf. The same thing as they done with the Welcome Amiibo edition. It could have been another big great feature of the game where it's the mayor's side job that he does apart from running the town. But for some reason they package it in another game and they try to flog off, Amiibo cards. And it did really well in terms of the numbers and that. But Amiibo sales, if you be looking at their financial report, has been dipping. So, and that's because the Smash Brothers series has pretty much has finished up, and most people got the cards. So, getting back on the story, they've overproduced on Wii U stuff and on Amiibo figures. So there's too many of that in the wild in the retails. So that's why when you're seeing the NES Mini not being produced that much, or the Pokemon Go Plus, those things were extremely limited and having issues with the EB Games website and all that sort of stuff. And also too with the latest Animal Crossing Amiibo cards, and there's a risk-averse sort of mindset in them now. Now, will that happen for the Nintendo Switch? I'm not too sure. I think there will be some stock issues, depending on how when the release date of it is, because they said they're going to sell 2 million by the end of March. So I'm thinking that they're going to release the console about 2 weeks beforehand. Now, if they release it March the 30th, 2 days to sell 2 million consoles, I don't think that's going to happen. So I say that they'll probably sell those 2 million. And they may, if they can do well with the Switch console, then they can build more confidence about ramping up production of other products than that, because they don't want to lose money like they did with the Wii U. And they got burnt hard. So, but there will be people that will disagree and complain and say, well, they could have redirected stock from other places. Well, they could have. But maybe Nintendo Europe and America wants to keep their stocks. Maybe there are people overseas crying for copies of cards and games and things like that. And Australia's not really seen as a big market. It's sort of important to Nintendo. But ahead of them is Japan, UK, America, definitely Germany, France, probably a few other countries ahead of us in terms of importance and how much they sell. So we don't make up a really big profit number for Nintendo in Australia. They like us, but we're not the first country they think of when it comes to making the big sales, millions of console sales and cards and games and things like that. So we do have to understand Australia's position in that sort of point. Now, yes, they could have done more stock and productions and things like that, but this is the most logical sort of answer. And it is a bit of a Nintendo gone and Nintendo sort of answer. And some people won't like it. And some people will provide an answer that is nicer. Well, it's Nintendo's fault. They should have just produced more stock. But I'm giving the answer as to why they're not doing it. They can, but I'm explaining why they're not doing it. So I think after the Switch, and I think next year, they need to build a bit more confidence. And plus, they can't keep on losing money too. They've been not really generating big profits and things like that. And they do need to keep the stock investors happy. So, but, this is going to be a video that some people won't like the answer to. I've had a bit of a debate on Facebook, and obviously some didn't like the answer and some others do. And it's hard because, I try to get my answers from other people who know Nintendo very well and that sort of thing. And you're trying to debate with people who, they're big Nintendo fans, but they don't know that certain journalists and people who know a greater sort of knowledge of Nintendo. And I go to people who know more about Nintendo than I do to verify what my thoughts are or get them to fill me on the bigger picture of a story or something like that. So, and it's hard to sort of kind of come out and say, well, I know more about Nintendo. It's a bit hard to sort of, if I say it, I come across as an asshole, and I kind of, it kind of does come like that. But what I'm saying is that my theory is based on talking to people who probably know more about Nintendo than I do, and who are trusted sources, and they've been around the woodworks for a long, long time. And I would put my faith and trust in those people than people on Facebook who come up with thought bubble thoughts. So I think it sucks there's not enough Amiibo cards, and I think it sucks there's not enough NES minis and Pokemon Go pluses. But Nintendo's feeling a bit scared, and a little bit afraid about overproducing stuff. Hopefully, sales will pick up with the Switch. Confidence rises. They think, oh, console's doing well. We think we can, you know, earn a bit more money in the bank. Confidence rises. So I think it's really that sort of story. So hopefully people understood what I just said in the past 10 minutes, and hopefully I did not come across as a know-it-all, because I don't know everything, and I try to do the best that I can. So, but do tell us your thoughts. What are your theories? You don't have to agree with me. You can say that Nintendo just been lazy pricks and not just ramping up the productions, or there's not enough stock in Australia as it is, or anything that you comes to mind. So that is it from me, and I shall see you next time.